Dialectical Journal Unit 6 by Taylor Madison. In this video, I will be covering 17 poems, including That Time of Year Thou Mayest in Me Behold by Shakespeare, Hymn to God the Father by John Donne, The Double Play by Robert Wallace, The Battle by Louis Simpson, Woman to Child by Judith Wright, Advice to My Son by Peter Mankey, Uphill by Christina Rossetti, A Poison Tree by William Blake, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, Virtue by George Herbert, Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson, The Sun Rising by John Donne, The Man He Killed by Thomas Hardy, An Irish Airman Foresees His Death by William Butler Yeats, The Silken Tent by Robert Frost, Meet Up at Does by E. E. Cummings, and Monster Among the Dustbins by Stevie Smith. That time of year thou mayest in me behold. Quote of interest. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self that seals up all in rest. Page 710. This poem talks about aging in terms of seasons. Night represents death and day represents life. However, night's rest is temporary, while death's rest is final. One of the metaphors in this poem gives the reader the idea that death can be both consoling and restful, as well as frightening. The extended metaphors of autumn and evening deal with twilight preceding night, autumn preceding winter, and illness or aging preceding death. Hymn to God the Father. Quote of interest. I have a sin to fear, that when I've spun my last thread I shall perish on the shore. But swear by thyself that at my death thy sun shall shine as he shines now and heretofore, and having done that thou hast done, I fear no more. Page 712. I thought it was creative that the author used a play on words to discuss his sun shining in comparison to the sun. By saying that he spun the last thread, I thought of it as him tying up his loose ends in life and preparing his loved ones for the time after he is gone. He considered it a sin to leave them without this preparation. Once he was finished with this last task, the fear was gone and he felt ready to die. The Double Play. Quote of interest. The ball hit sharply under artificial banks of arc lights, bounds like a vanishing string over the green to the shortstop, magically scoops to his right, whirling above his invisible shadows in dust, redirects its flight. Page 712. This poem was written brilliantly because I'm not a baseball fan, yet I was drawn into the description of the ball flying through the arc lights and curving away. I like that the double play was compared to a dance because the image of lights illuminating the stage corresponded with the lights on the field illuminating the game. The Battle. Quote of interest. Like the circle of a throat, the night on every side was turning red. The bright ember would pulse with all the life there was within. Page 713 to 714. The comparison of the red night to a throat created a very disturbing image because I pictured the night being stained by blood. The next image of ember would contrast with the pulsing of blood and the presence of life. These pictures remind me of a campfire because the embers in a fire glow red and sustain the life of the fire. Woman to Child. Quote of interest. I wither and you break for me, yet though you dance in living light, I am the earth, I am the root, I am the stem that fed the fruit, the link that joins you to the night. Page 714. The first line of this quote made me think that the baby was causing its mother to suffer during her pregnancy, but the next lines confirm that the child was forgiving and that the woman still felt in control. Without her, the baby could not survive because through the umbilical cord it relies on her nutrients to grow and develop. Similarly, we rely on the earth to provide us with food and shelter. Advice to My Son. Quote of interest. The trick is to live your days as if each one may be your last, but at the same time plan long range. To be specific, between the peony and the rose, plant squash and spinach, turnips and tomatoes. Beauty is nectar, and nectar in a desert saves, but the stomach craves stronger sustenance than the honeyed vine. Page 716. The speaker in this poem is the father of a son. He is advising him on how to live his life. He He provides two contradictory courses, one in which to live in the moment and another where he is urged to look to the future. The Son is also told to see the need for beauty and luxury. By indicating food for the spirit and sustenance for the body, the speaker is saying that the Son should go beyond the bare minimum to survive. Bread is a staple while wine implies festivity. Therefore, the two should be served together. This parallels his suggestions for living. Uphill. Quote of interest. Does the road wind uphill all the way? Yes, to the very end. Will the day's journey take the whole long day? From morn to night, my friend. Shall I meet other wayfarers at night? Those who have gone before. Will there be beds for me and all who seek? Yeah, beds for all who come. Page 717 to 718. The uphill journey to the top of the hill represents a person's struggle through life. Similar to the other poem, day is life and night is death. When the person finally reaches the end, they are allowed to rest. This symbolizes the rest brought on by death. Unlike the speaker, I do not think that life in its entirety is an uphill battle. There are times when one can feel restful while they are alive as well. A poison tree. Quote of interest. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Page 718. The story within this poem is significant because it is symbolic of the poisonous apple in the Garden of Eden. If another type of fruit had been used, the story would not have held the same amount of meaning. In this case, the person whom it belonged to grew it with the exact plan that his neighbor would steal it and die. Before reading the poem, I was reminded of the Poisonwood Bible. The road not taken. Quote of interest. And both that morning lay equal, in leaves no step had trodden black. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Page 719. This poem can be understood figuratively and literally. Because of this poem, the metaphor of choosing a path in life has become a common phrase. Neither road appears better to the reader, therefore Frost does not limit their symbolic meaning.